So welcome back everyone, Mike here. I got home from work a little bit ago and I realized I haven't uploaded a video in a few days and I have a few things to do tonight, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to shoot a video. So I gather up all my stuff, I'm walking out the door and Melissa says to me, wait, you can't wear that shirt. And I'm like, why not? And she says, because you wore it in a video last week. And I was like, and? You know, because I'm thinking there's more to the story. And she goes on to explain that I wear the same shirt in too many different videos. Well, I have uploaded 190 videos so far, something like that, and I don't have 190 shirts, so I hope you don't mind, because I don't mind. It seems to bother my wife Melissa, but anyway, that's where we're at. So anyway, I wanted to do a video on the top 10 things that I have learned since I started this YouTube channel. Now, most of you probably know that follow this channel. A while back, I partnered with Rural King, and Rural King provided some tractors and some attachments, and I also recently partnered with Steel Power Equipment. And what that has enabled me to do is to use products and things that I probably normally wouldn't have had access to before. And so I've learned about 10 different things, more than that, but I've listed 10 things that I kind of want to go over that I have learned since I started this YouTube channel, and we're going to go over that tonight. The first thing that I have learned, and I was wrong about this, is a cab tractor is pretty darn nice. I kind of always thought I didn't really need one, always used the excuse of like, oh, I work in the woods a lot, things like that. But the cab tractor is very nice. The air conditioning works fantastic in that thing, and on days, you know, it's 85, 90 degrees, you come home from work, you know, after working 10 or 11 hours and you want to do something, it's no big deal at all. You want to run the brush hog or something like that, cab tractor is pretty darn nice. And it can get in the way, you know, when you're working in the woods or things like that. But overall, I think a cab tractor is pretty darn nice, even in western Pennsylvania. If you lived in the south, I don't know how you do without it, or if you lived up north and you're plowing snow, you probably want one. So that's the first thing I learned that I was wrong about. Never thought I needed a cab tractor. They're pretty nice. Number 2, bucket level indicator. I never thought I needed a bucket level indicator. I always kind of know where my bucket is, whether it's flat or not, but it does definitely speed things up. Never thought I needed one. Pretty nice feature to have. That's the second thing I've learned. Number 3, subcompact tractors. Over the last few months, I've been able to run the RK24 quite a bit, and I was blown away. I had no idea subcompact tractors were as useful and as effective as they are. That thing is a little powerhouse. It's very easy to operate. You always know where the bucket's at. It's quick. I love the auto throttle on it. And like I said before, it's the only, you know, subcompact I have ever used before. But any subcompact out there, if it works, you know, near as well as that one, I think you'd be pretty happy with them. You can do a lot of work with that little tractor, and I really like that RK24. So that's the third thing that I've learned. Subcompact tractors are the real deal, and you can get a lot of work done with them. Number 4, trimmer line. Over the years, I have used a variety of different line for different string trimmers. And the last 5 or 6 years, I used this titanium something. I don't even know what it was called. I bought a big spool of it. And it worked well. You know, I thought it worked great, and it worked fine. I didn't have any plans on changing until I was introduced to this. It's the Steel CF3 Pro. This is hands down the best trimmer line I have ever used. I'm not saying it's the best on planet Earth because I haven't used them all. All I'm telling you is this is by far the best that I have ever used. It lasts super long, cuts really clean, and it's just all in all a great product. But I really like this. If you're not happy with your trimmer line, you may want to check this out. Number 5, fuel storage. For many years I carried 5-gallon fuel jugs to fuel tractors, and I used to have a skid loader, and they served their purpose. Although they're aggravating, and they're a good way to introduce water into your fuel system on your equipment. Recently I bought that fuel transfer tank you just saw with the hand piston pump on it. A lot of people said I should have got the 12-volt pump, but I have to disagree. That piston pump is perfect for my needs. The RK55 is the biggest tractor. The other night it was about empty. I filled it up in 2 minutes. I think with a 12-volt pump, by the time you pop the hood, hook up to your battery terminals, and take it all off when you're done. I think it would take longer than it takes to actually fill the tractor up. So for my needs, the piston pump is perfect. And that is something else I learned, that if you have any tractors or equipment at all, even though you don't use a whole lot of fuel, you may not think you need it, a fuel transfer tank is a game changer and really makes things easier. Number 6, the Stihl 2-in-1 chainsaw sharpener. Now, I did a video last year. If you have any trouble sharpening your chainsaw, you may want to check that out. I'll put it up above as well. I did a pretty detailed video on how I sharpen chainsaws. It took me probably 20 years to be able to do it very well, just with a file. It takes a long time to get good at it. At least it took me a long time. To get it where it's factory sharp or even better, took a long time. This thing here is a game changer. It works fantastic. So once again, check that video out if you have trouble sharpening your chainsaw chain, because this is the way to go. Something else I learned. Number 7, land plane. Now, I have always been a box scraper kind of guy. I find them very useful to use. I've had one for years, used them on different kind of tractors. Great for grading up your driveways, moving dirt. I even used them, for just ripping out roots, just the ripper's way down. Very handy tool. Never had any intentions on purchasing a land plane, never thought I had a need for one. That was until I got to use one. I have found over the last couple months that the land plane is pretty much my go-to implement to grade gravel driveways and to smooth things out. They work very, very well. As a general rule of thumb, in my opinion, if you're trying to decide between the two, if you have a driveway that gets easily rutted up and gets in really, really bad shape and you need to just kind of try to bring it back, I would say box scraper. If your driveways and roads and trails are in decent shape and they just get washed out occasionally and need general maintenance, and you want something super quick, really effective, and does a very good job, get a land plane. That's my 2 cents on that. Number 8, battery powered equipment. I never would have considered using anything battery powered, for like outdoor power equipment. That all changed since I got to use the Stihl HTA 85 pole saw. It has a 300 amp lithium ion battery. It works fantastic. I was blown away. Remember years ago when people started using battery powered equipment, whether it be hedge trimmers or whatever, you'd kind of, yelling at your neighbor, "Hey Bob, where'd you get that thing at? Toys R Us?" I always thought they were kind of a joke, never had any use for them. I'm a two-stroke kind of person. But once I had the opportunity to use that thing, I was my mind changed 180 degrees. They work very, very well, especially for something like a pole saw or hedge trimmers or string trimmers. If you don't have a large lawn, something like that, they work really, really well. And I'm just blown away at how far battery technology has come over the last several years. So that's something else that I learned. Number 9, dump trailer. That little dump trailer is a RK by King Cutter, XB dump trailer, I think they call it. Hauls 1.5 tons. I use it all the time. It could possibly be the most used thing that we have here on the property. I always knew a dump trailer was pretty handy, but I didn't realize how handy it was and how useful and how much I would use it until I had one. So I would recommend, if you have a piece of property, that would be probably one of the first 3 or 4 things I would consider buying, is a dump trailer. Small one like that. You don't want anything too big if you have woods and things like that. But if you haul firewood, gravel, mulch, anything like that, any kind of debris, branches, the dump trailer really works well. And I really like how that one hooks up to the rear remotes on the RK tractors. Very handy little tool, but the dump trailer has been an eye-opener. Number 10, what have I learned about RK tractors since I started using them? Now, before I answer that, let me say this. Each day we get a lot of comments on our videos. We get a lot of posts and comments on our Facebook page, Outdoors with the Morgans. And we also get a lot of private messages on our Facebook page, usually 30 or 40 a week, maybe more than that. And we do our best to respond to each one of them. So out of those 30 or 40 messages, each week, it's always the same thing. I'll get 2 or 3, maybe 4 messages, and they'll go something like this. This isn't word for word, but you'll get the idea. I'll get a question, it'll be like, "Mike, I'm seriously considering the RK24 tractor. What is your honest opinion?" Like in all capital letters. I'll get another one. "Mike, what don't you like about the RK37, or are you sworn to secrecy?" Things like that. So apparently there's still some people out there that don't really understand what's going on here, so I'll try to clear that up right now. See, my deal with Rural King is this. The only way I would break the deal, let me say this, is if I wasn't honest, okay? We're gonna hear good and bad. The reason I haven't said anything bad about the RK tractors is I haven't found anything I don't like yet, and that's the truth. Now, I've only put probably 130 hours between all three of them, but so far, so good. Everything has worked flawlessly. And you'll notice in my videos, you know, I do this for fun. This isn't my job, it's a hobby. And I have a real job. This is just something that I like to do. I'm trying to build a community here of like-minded people where we can all share information and ideas, and it's just nice. And I think it's a good thing, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it, and the family enjoys it, so we're gonna keep doing it. Now back to what I was talking about though, you'll notice in my videos, you know, although this is just a hobby, it's not my job, I'm careful what I say. And what I mean is this, like in this video, I mentioned that steel string trimmer line. I don't say anything is the best in the world. What I said was, that is the best trimmer line that I have ever used, and that's an honest and truthful statement. There may be something better than that out there, I don't know, but I haven't found it yet. That is the best that I've ever used. And so that's kind of how things go on this channel. I will never tell you this is the best tractor here. I don't think anybody can. I mean, unless you've put a couple thousand hours on every make of tractor out there, I don't think anyone can really say that. But here's my take so far on the RK tractors, okay? I have the RK24, the 37, and the 55. I have a combined, you know, a little over 100 hours, 130 hours, whatever, on all three of them. Not one problem yet. Now, I can't compare, you know, the RK24 to any other tractor because I've never had another subcompact tractor. I've never had a 55 horsepower size tractor like the RK55. But I will say both of those tractors I'm very pleased with. I haven't had one problem with either one of them. Now the RK37, I can talk a little bit more about that because I have experience and a lot of hours on the Kubota L3901. They're the same horsepower class machine. Now, although, you know, the Kubota is an economy model tractor, so it's really not a fair comparison because the 37 comes with a lot more options. However, I do think it's a very fair comparison just for the fact that the 3901 costs more than this 37. You know, a good comparison as far as features and things like that would be this RK37, and I think it's a Kubota 3560, something like that, one of the Grand Series. That would be kind of apples to apples, but when you look at the price, the 3901 and this one are pretty close to the same. The Kubota is just a little bit more. So if I was in the market today for a 37 horsepower tractor and it was between, you know, the Kubota L3901 or the RK37, I would buy the RK37. And I know there's still going to be a few people out there that say, oh, you're just saying that or whatever, but it is what it is. I'm just calling it like I see it. And here are some of the reasons why I would choose that over the 3901. Number one, the 37 lifts a lot more than the Kubota L3901. I mean a lot more. When I did a side-by-side comparison of the two and I went over the specs, I mentioned the lift capacities, and then I also said, I've run both these tractors, the RK37 absolutely lifts substantially more weight and carries it well than the Kubota. And you'll still get a few comments from people like, oh, I wouldn't believe those spec sheets. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about real world experience on both tractors. And I know what I know. Like I said, I don't say things that I'm not sure of. And I'm telling you right now, this will lift an awful lot more than the Kubota. But that's not the only reason. The other reason is it's a little bit less money. And you know, the Kubota L3901, it's an economy model. This one here is pretty well loaded up. So if you were to add the options that this has to that Kubota L3901, you'd be another couple $1,000s more. You know, this comes standard with the rear tires loaded. It's got rear remotes, the bucket level indicator. I know, you know, rear work light, little things like that. The seat's a lot nicer. Those are some of the reasons that I would buy this. And it just, all in all, it's just more comfortable and it just feels more stable. And you'd know what I mean if you ran one, you understand what I'm talking about. But yeah, so that's why I would buy an RK37 over the Kubota at this point. Now lastly, let me say this. There are a lot of people out there that would never consider another brand of tractor. And I'm kind of that way with pickup trucks. I've always had Ford trucks. I've had good luck with them, and I don't have any plans to change in the future. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's being a loyal consumer. However, I will say this, whether you would ever consider an RK tractor or not, it doesn't really matter to me. I've got nothing in it. But I will say this, these are really good for all of us. I mean everybody. Even if you'd never consider buying one, this is a really good thing, and I'll tell you why. They're selling a lot of these tractors, and competition is a wonderful thing. And you know, some other manufacturers are starting to see what's going on here, and they're going to have to make some changes, whether it be some, you know, more standard features or a little bit better pricing or something like that. They're going to have to do something because these things are gaining steam, and the more they're selling a lot, and the more people that buy them, the more the word gets out. And I think competition is a healthy thing for everybody. So no matter what tractor you're going to buy, when things like this happen, it's good for all of us. I hope everybody understands that. I can't see a downside at all. You know, I think the last 10 years or so, most companies, they spent most of their R&D money on emissions. So there really hasn't been a whole lot of new technology in the tractors themselves. It's all been the emission stuff, but all that's been kind of sorted out now, and everybody's got their systems down. So I think over the next few years you may see some new things and some changes between all the manufacturers, and that's all good. But anyway, that's my take on the tractors, and that's my take on the other 9 things. So if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button, click subscribe, and when you do, hit the little bell icon and share them with your friends. Thanks.